Hello, Muse. It's I, your friendly artist. I almost said writer, but that kind of overlooks the fact that I'm more than a writer. At least I pretend to be sometimes. I have something that I want to talk to you about, Muse, that's a little bit tricky. It's tricky. Lately, I have heard from a lot of writers or read various and sundry posts by other writers. And it's been kind of sad in that many of them, and some of these writers are prolific, they're on the verge of giving up. And this isn't going to be another one of those little chats that we have where it's like, go team, go. Because recently, I myself, I set about to write my story for the Middletown 4 anthology. And when I sat there with my laptop in front of me, my first thought was, what's the point? And I have never experienced that. I have never once thought before I started writing, why bother? And I know that I can be a bit of a nihilist with certain things. But never before with my art. I've never felt that way. And it's disheartening on so many levels. And I know in my mind and in my heart that I'll never give up. Never. And I also know that a part of this is being driven by the fact that I got back on stage. And so that creative need was being fulfilled by something else. So I didn't necessarily have that desperate drive to be creating, to use that creative energy with words. And so after I finished the show, I felt kind of whole. So when I sat down after I finished getting POTUS done, because I knew I didn't have a choice, I had to get POTUS done. Then after I sat down to go back to work on something new, I didn't feel that desperation inside of me that I had to get something out. And so because of that, I know that I will return. And I'm writing this short story for this anthology. I'm writing it. And also, I've decided on what I want to write next. You gave me this amazing idea for a vampire novel that is kind of in the same line as the Frankenstein theory novel. And I'm really excited about writing that because I've been wanting to write a vampire story for a long time. And you gave me the idea, gosh, a year ago? And I've just sat on it. And it's very interesting that I was watching Elementary just yesterday. And there was this scene regarding a blood stain. And as I was watching that scene, I recalled this idea for that book. And I thought, oh my gosh, the universe just told me what it is that I need to write next. And of course I got excited about it, understanding fully that I'm about to embark on a rehearsal for another show, so I probably won't be able to write it until the show is over. And that's fine. Now I could probably start it during the rehearsal period, which I hope to do. But the thing is I know that there are these other authors out there that I respect that have never not written. And they're facing this artistic mortality. And I understand why. Authors that at one point were making their living, were paying their mortgages from their book sales, are lucky to be able to afford to buy a cappuccino from Starbucks on what they're making from books now. And it's a sad state, and again, this is kind of the nihilist in me coming out, but I don't, or maybe just the pessimist, and I'm not usually much for pessimism, but I don't know that reading is ever going to become chic again, maybe not in my lifetime. And so, as an artist, I have to kind of step back and say, okay, what's the value then? What's the value in me continuing to do this, knowing that I am going to be spending money on editors and all of this other stuff? So it becomes a proposition of losing money, of the possibility of losing money at certain times. And I have to stop and think, where's the plus? Where's the upside? And now, I know as soon as I'm done with once Cabaret closes, give me a day or two after that, and I'm going to start jonesing to create again. And that Jones is going to become really, really powerful. So I know what's in my future, and words are definitely in my future. I will continue. I will write more. I will not stop writing. I will be writing until I'm dead. Whether I'm making money with my books or not, I will continue on because it is ingrained in my DNA to create. Now, the big question then becomes, do I allow the idea, or do I allow the lack of consumers consuming my products? Do I allow that to get me down enough that I say, okay, what is more important to me as an artist? Selling books or writing stories? Writing or selling books. Now, every artist wants to be able to make a living with their craft. But the truth is, few do. You can just look at the statistics with professional actors. In the world of professional acting, at any given point, 98% of the population of professional actors is unemployed. 98%. So one can only imagine the percentage of writers that are actually making a living as a writer. I would venture to say it's probably close to that same amount. And yet, if you look at this from the perspective of an actor, actors don't give up. They don't. Because they go into this knowing the odds are stacked against them. I became a professional actor knowing how hard it was going to be to make a living as an artist. And I did it for 20 years. I made a living as an actor for 20 years. And it took me a long time to get there. And many of the writers that you come in contact with have this false sense that they're going to publish their first book and all of a sudden they're going to be making a living. And that's not the case. It's just simply not the case. I started writing seriously in probably 1995. That's when I wrote my first story. And there was a brief period around, I would say 2008. No. Probably 2008, maybe 2009. I was making enough to pay my mortgage as a writer from book sales. And then it crashed. And it hasn't come back. And I don't know that it will come back. And that's not me being pessimistic, that's me being a realist. Being a realist. If it does come back, it's going to take a while. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Number one, there is just the market is super saturated, not just with books, but with writers. I believe that there are more writers than there are readers right now. And that's because Amazon kind of opened the floodgates to say, if you can create a document on a computer, then you can be a writer. But the thing, what I want to try to say is that you have to, any artistic endeavor, you have to approach it with the same lens that actors view the world with. You have to understand that it's going to take a lot of time to find even a modicum of success. We're talking 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And even then, success will be relative. And you kind of have to tame your perception of what success is. Because if you go about this and you think that I'm going to have a bestseller, and it's great. You should have those. You should always think when you sit down to start a book, you should say, this is the book. This is the one that's going to put me on the map. It's going to be a bestseller. You should always aim as high as you possibly can. But in the aiming, you have to follow through. But at the same time, you have to understand that overnight success is not a reality. It's a myth. And if you get to the point where you feel like it's time to give up, you have to evaluate the reasons why you think you need to give up. Is it because you simply cannot continue on with the rejection being no one buying your book? Or is it that you're just, is it not fulfilling you? If it's not fulfilling you, then give up. But if the process of creating is fulfilling you, then you have to go, okay, can that be reward enough right now? And trust me, I have gone through long periods of my life as an artist where that is reward enough. Where the process of creation is reward enough. And excuse me, bronchitis, just getting over it. I think that, okay, I'm keep relating this back to acting because I have so much experience with it. I don't know if you know this. You may know this. I don't know. But there are different worlds within the realm of acting. There's film and television. There's theater. And within theater, there's and this is all up to interpretation. There's professional theater, semi-professional theater, and non-professional theater, which is also called community theater. Professional theater is a union theater, where it's Actors Equity Association. Actors are all hired who are members of Actors Equity Association. They're paid. The theaters follow the union rules and blah, blah, blah. Semi-professional, not part of the union, but the theater still pays the actors. Community theater or non-professional, no one is paid. And I think that most writers today need to compare themselves to community theater because they do it for the love of it. And if you're lucky and you do it long enough, then maybe you can kind of step up into that semi-professional realm where you're making money off of your books. And maybe, if you're lucky and you do it long enough, you can then venture up into that professional realm. And the correlation between acting and writing in the professional realm would be you are making a living. That is your sole income, is your books. And most often that's you just turned off on me. My camera turned off on me. I had to start it up again. So there's going to be a little glitch there. I hate glitches. Makes it look like I edited this. I haven't edited. I don't edit these. I just go. Anyway. It saddens me to see all of these writers, these people that I consider friends, colleagues. It saddens me to know that many of them are giving up. And some of them, I know that the act of creation was tantamount to their mental and emotional well-being. And I fear for them. And I hope that if they are definitely willing to give up, that they understand what they're giving up in the process. It's not just the idea of I'm giving up being a writer. It's the idea of I'm giving up the creative process. And if you've reached that point, you need to consider it seriously. Don't approach the answering of this question half-heartedly. Because I know, I've been there for a very short period of time in my life. I wasn't creating anything. And I felt my soul shrivel up and almost die. And finally I had to step away and say, this is not me. This is not who I am. And the minute I started creating again, I felt whole. So if you're out there, if you're listening to me, and if you're considering giving up any artistic endeavor, approach that very seriously and understand what it means to be giving that up. Ask yourself, why am I giving this up? If you're just frustrated, wait. Keep doing it. And hopefully things will get better. If you're not being fulfilled by it, then go ahead, give up. But if you are being fulfilled, and you just think everything is pointless and bleak because you're making absolutely no money off of this endeavor, then don't give up. Wait it out. Things will change. Things will get better. And while you continue on, you will get better. Your craft will grow. Don't think of this as a means for overnight success. You got to give it time. And you've got to invest. I know you got to spend money to make money, but I'm talking about you've got to invest everything. Your heart, your soul. I don't want to see my fellow creators give up for the wrong reasons. So keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm never going to give up. I refuse. I refuse to let anything take me down. I will keep writing. I will keep acting until I physically cannot do it. And hopefully that will be for a very long time. Anyway, Muse, I'm sorry that we didn't really get to talk about anything, our craft or our relationship, but I felt like this was important to say. So, what are your thoughts, people? Let's talk about not giving up. Let's talk about not caving to any sort of societal or emotional or mental pressure. Let's talk about keeping this going. Thank you, Muse. Thank you for listening to me, because sometimes I just need you to open your ears and listen to me. And you are so good at that. You are awesome.